Space Dogfight is a light, simple sci-fi war game that is available online for free to print and play. So you simply download the design and then you can make your own copy. And it's very light in the sense that there is only a single page with all of the components of the game. This is the board, this is a chart that you use for the stats, and these are the counters they will need to cut, mount, you glue them on a cereal box, cut them, and you will have your game. Yes, there also are the rules that are separate. That's another sheet of paper, so if you want to go crazy and print it out, hooray! But technically you don't even need to, you just read the rules online, so you need to only print a single sheet of paper. Now, I did play the game, but I can't find my copy, so to show the game to you, I printed another copy of the game. I also guess that my printer is running out of ink because the colors came out a little messed up. There should be more blue and on the board in here, and overall, well, there should be the blue starting zone, not the light pink starting zone. So the colors are a little off, but you get a sense of how the design works. Why did I decide to play this game to start with? Well, first because from time to time I simply get curious to try little known free print and play games, because then if they're good I can share the knowledge with you, and you also get to learn about games that you can build for free and you can use them as little fillers. Late at night you want to play a game, you make one in 10 minutes and voila, you're playing a new game. Also because of teaching purposes, because if there are games that you want to include in class activities and they're free to print and play, then you do not need to spend a lot of money purchasing a lot of copies for your class. You simply tell the students to build their own copy. I recently taught a class about at Indiana University about game design, war game design in particular, and we were playing simple games that would exemplify interesting game mechanics, from X encounter to odds-based combat, to differential-based combat, etc., etc. And a mechanic that I wanted to show, which I really like in war games, is cheat pool, which is a great mechanic to represent a lot of the complexity and unpredictability of warfare in a simple, accessible, and fun way. And this is a game that revolves around the cheat pool engine. Now, how does it work? At the beginning of the game, each player builds their own fleets. Each player has 80 points to spend, and there are 4 types of starships, and this is the cost: 10, 15, 20, and 25. So you can build a ship with a lot of small a fleet with a lot of small ships, a mix with bigger ships. Any way you want to combine your 80 points, you can build your fleets, and then you set up your fleets in your starting zone facing the opposite side. Also, there are asteroids here, which you place in random locations on the board at the beginning of the game, and they will move throughout the board, throughout the game. And if they hit a starship, well, the ship is gone. Now, how does it work? At each turn, you can choose to do one of 2 things. You can draw counters, or you can spend counters that you collected earlier. Here you see these counters from here, here, and these ones. These are placed in an opaque cup, and they're drawn, and they will be used to perform actions during the game. If you decide, you can also discard counters each turn. Simply, if you want to refresh your hand, get rid of counters that you do not need. Otherwise, again, you have the choice between drawing new counters. You can draw up to 3, you can never have more than 5, or you can choose to spend your counters. The important ones that you will use to perform actions are these ones with the AP. Each represents a single action point. So you can spend action points to activate your units. If you want to activate a friendly ship, it costs a single action point. If you want to activate it to move, it costs a single action point. When you activate a ship for movement, then you can move up to its full movement allowance. So this is the number of spaces that the ship can move when activated for movement. Ships can move laterally or forward, never diagonally, and never back, because they're trying to reach the starting zone of the opponent. Imagine that there is a big target right behind the target zone that your fleets are trying to attack, and so they're trying to get past the ship of the opponent. Actually, something important, when players are drawing, if they draw move asteroid counter that needs to be resolved immediately. Then you randomly determine the asteroid that moves and where it moves, and that is when asteroids may hit ships. So you can activate your units for movement, overall trying to reach the area of the opponent or maneuvering to attack the opponent, or you can use action points to attack ships of the opponent. You spend 2 of them, 2 action points, to activate a ship that is adjacent to that of an opponent. Maybe again, adjacency again is only orthogonal, not lateral. So activate a ship for combat, and it attacks an adjacent enemy. When you activate a ship for combat, you roll a die, and you a d6. And you score a hit on the opponent if you roll equal to or lower than the attack value of the ship. So higher values are better. Also, if the ship that you're using to attack is supported by another ship, that is another ship of yours adjacent to the ship that you are attacking, then the main ship, the attacking ship, has its attack value increased by 1. So you roll the die, and if you roll equal to or higher than or lower than the attack value, it's a hit. Hit here means that you reach the opponent. Your laser beam, your plasma ray, whatever the weapon, has reached the opponent. But is the hit going to penetrate the defenses, the shields of the opponent? When you do score a hit, well, if you miss, it's a miss. The attack is over there. If you do score a hit, the opponent rolls a die. And if the result is equal to or lower than the defense of the ship that has been hit, then the shields of the ship stopped the hit and there is no further effect. So this ship is a real big tank because it can actually only be hit. Well, it can be hit in a variety of ways, but it can only be damaged on a roll of 5 or 6 on the defense roll. This one, the ship here, when reached by a weapon of the opponent, by a hit on the opponent, has a very hard time avoiding being destroyed. Because if you are hit and your defense roll fails, it is not equal to or lower than your defense value, then the ship that was hit and defenses were penetrated is destroyed and removed from the map. When you're rolling for defense, it is also the time to use your defense chit in case you did throw one or multiple ones and you have them hidden in your personal face down pool. Then before you roll for defense, you reveal them, and you can add that modifier to your defense, making it more likely for your ship to survive a hit. This is the basic idea of the game. You draw chits, or you spend them to move or to fight. Oh, also, when you have launch a combat, as I said, the combat that you launch costs 2 action points. You can immediately perform a follow-up combat for a single action point. There are a couple of small details like that, modifiers, things like that. But the main idea is that you draw chits or play chits to activate your ships for movement or combat. And you continue like this until either one of the 2 sides has completely destroyed the opponent, in which case the surviving side is the winner, or all of the surviving ships have reached the starting zone of the opponent. At that point, the game is over. You count the value in points of all the surviving ships, and the player that has the most valuable fleet at that point, that has the highest total amount of points represented by surviving ships, that player is the winner of the game. So it's a very simple game, nothing too mind-blowing, earth-shattering, but it's enjoyable. It's not super fun, it's not bad, it's somewhere right there. It definitely worked well for the purpose that I was using it for. It did show in a simple, accessible way what the chit pull engine can do for a gamer. I wanted to exemplify that mechanic to my class, and of course I needed simple games that could be played in a single class session. It worked very well. It's a very specific use. I do not know that many other of my viewers will need a game for that specific use. Maybe you're also teaching a class about game design, or you're introducing your younger ones to wargaming, and you do want to show them a way in that that will exemplify this mechanic before you introduce your kids to more complex games that use chit pool elements. Per se, if you're not using it for pedagogical reasons, the game is simple and enjoyable. It works kind of okay in solitaire, not super great, because there's an element there not knowing exactly if the opponent has a lot of action points, as defense factors especially. But it is playable. The action pool engine always gives you a degree of unpredictability and uncertainty that makes games that have it at least solitaire friendly, if not solitaire players' biggest love story. So it is enjoyable. It is simple, light, fun, with a couple of interesting decisions. The unpredictability of the asteroids that move around is interesting too. That also allowed me to exemplify how random conditions may change the situation on the board. It was kind of like synecdoche for larger games in which, say, winter conditions, random conditions, weather conditions, changing terrain would affect the overall situation. It was a way for me to exemplify situations that are not controlled by the players that will affect the overall state of the board. So simple, light, fun, nothing that will be too memorable. I know that will be your favorite board game ever, but it costs exactly $0. It takes really few resources to make your own copy. It is easy to make, and I really like that. I'm not really into print and play games that take a lot of work to craft. Simple, light, accessible, fun. The space dogfight theme is always good. It could be an introductory war game, maybe. Yes, that could be. A good introductory war game if you are trying to introduce a young friend or a very inexperienced friend to wargaming. Then you have a familiar theme that is always attractive. Tell them that it is about Star Wars. They may believe that. And the theme is familiar and attractive because, hey, everybody likes space dogfights. This is one of the reasons why we have 7 Star Wars movies out there, by the way. The theme is familiar. The implementation of the theme is simple, linear, but overall pretty effective, or fairly effective, I should say. So, not particularly deep, but definitely an enjoyable little design. And before I forget, I want to thank 4 viewers of my videos that have been kind enough to back my Kickstarter campaign for 2015. And you can see their names in this high technology, beautifully designed screen. The friends and backers I want to thank in this video are Rodney Smith, Kimberly Orr, Dan O, and David Studley. Thank you to the 4 of you for backing my Kickstarter campaign, and thank you to all of you, my viewers, for watching my videos.